We all know it's important to stay in good physical shape, so every year we get a checkup with the doctor to make sure we're on track. But what about our finances? If you're looking to retire, it's incredibly important to have those in good shape too. That's where Phillis Sachs-Pilvinus comes in. She's been guiding her clients to and through retirement for over 30 years, making sure their retirement accounts are prepared to go the distance. It's time to retire financially fit with Phillis. Here's your host, Jen Rizek.
There could always be another storm on the horizon. There will always be chaos and turmoil, and your money needs to be able to withstand whatever comes your way. So whether that chaos comes from the global economy, from Wall Street, or the halls of Congress even, you need to have a financial strategy in place to make sure your retirement accounts and your life savings can weather the storm. Thanks for joining us this morning on Retire Financially Fit with Phillis Sachs-Pilvinus. She is founder and president of PSP and Associates and author of the book Creating Calm Amidst the Storm. Boy, Phillis, excited to be here with you this morning. We're going to get into some of these topics that we've had our eye on. But yeah, there's always going to be a storm on the horizon. You know this as well as anybody, right?
You bet there is, ergo the title of my book,
right?
Creating Calm Amidst the Storm. But you can have calm, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Retirement, there will be storms, but if you have a structured plan, you can have calm. And we'll talk about that throughout the show today, right?
That's right. And, just one of the many, many storms that we have seen come straight out of Washington. We saw it again not too long ago with another stalemate on the federal debt ceiling. And you're hearing all these talking points from both sides, and nobody's willing to compromise. But then Congress ends up taking last-minute action. They raise the debt ceiling to allow the U.S. to pay its bills until December. So it's just kicking the can down the road a little bit. This is a short-term solution, and it sets us up for another partisan showdown down the road. But I'm sure, Phyllis, this December of 2021 is when both parties come together. We come up with a long-term solution, and we never have another issue again.
You are so funny. Are you kidding me?
I'm being a bit sarcastic.
Soap opera on the planet.
I know.
Come on. Can you imagine? What would the media do if they didn't have that drama?
If they just started getting along, I know.
Oh my
what would we
goodness. do? The sensationalism of it all. I hate to be that way, but I mean, both sides. It's drama personified. They should go into an acting career, half of them.
I know. It's so over the top. And then, of course, all the headlines and all the media feeds into it. And we've seen this before, right? This is the same song and dance. We've had these stalemates and, oh no, we're going to go into default and everything's going to be terrible. And then there ends up being a last minute compromise and they take care of it. But for people who are worried about the potential of an economic downturn, whether it's because of something like the federal debt or just more volatility popping up, I mean, there's all sorts of issues out there. What do you tell people who are worried about that?
So, you know what? If you're close to retirement or if you're retired, you don't get do-overs. You don't have time on your side. So I think that it makes sense to be concerned about all the things that can potentially come along and unravel what took you years to accumulate in a very short period of time. So you're spot on to be concerned about that. But the key is not to focus on all the things that we can't control. We can't control what they're going to do with this debt ceiling. We can't control these infrastructure bills. We really can't. But there are so many things that you can focus on. If you've been disciplined and you've saved money for retirement, you've done the heavy lifting. Now it's time to make a mind shift adjustment, be concerned about these things, but really get laser focused on what you can control instead of what you can't, and build that plan that insulates you, because exact reason why I wrote Creating Calm Amidst the Storm is throughout retirement, lots of stuff's going to happen. Life is going to happen. Some of it's going to be great. Some of it's not so good. And if you've been proactive, not reactive, you're going to be okay. You're going to get to and through retirement successfully. And that's what we talk about each week on this show. That's why I offer the Retire Fit analysis. Life changes as you start transitioning into this retirement phase of life. And you need to concern yourself with different things than when you were working and you had time on your side. So the Retire Fit analysis helps people focus on the things that they can control. And there's a lot you can control, but you need to get ahead of the curve. So number one, make sure you understand all the pieces of the retirement puzzle and call us and let's get a Retire Fit analysis. It's complimentary. There's no obligation. You got to do that by calling us at 623-792-5496. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure, based upon what you want your retirement to look like, where you are in relationship to that in all aspects of it. Do you have an income plan that makes, that's going to cover your desires and needs in retirement? Do you have an investment strategy that supports that? Let's look crystal clear and see where you are, if there's any gaps. Let's make sure you have a tax strategy. You understand your future tax liability and you're not volunteering more than what you have to Uncle Sam. Let's keep that hard-earned money legally and morally. Let's disinherit Uncle Sam wherever we possibly can. And let's make sure that you have a plan in case there's a healthcare crisis so that you're proactive, not reactive. And especially if you're married, you don't leave a spouse broke with a black cloud hanging over their head. And after all these years of working hard, make sure you have those estate planning documents in place, that you're on target there, so your hard-earned money goes to whom you want it to go to without untimely delays and unnecessary taxation or probate. So that's what the Retire Fit analysis will take you through, an analysis of all these pieces of the puzzle and show you where you are in relationship to where you might want to be. And if there's any gaps, it'll be laid out crystal clear. I don't know how people can make a decision or feel comfortable about their retirement till they see it laid out. So the number to call us to make sure you have that calm, even during these crazy, chaotic times. The number to call us to get on track with that is 623-792-5496.
Talking today with Phillis Sachs-Pilvinus. She is founder and president of PSP and Associates. And I think the big message here, Phillis, is just that there's always going to be something to worry about, right? The state of the economy, volatility, taxes, inflation, there's always something. There's always something out there. There's always some sort of threat or storm on the horizon. And even when you're helping us create calm amidst these storms, like the title of your book, we can't prevent the storms from happening. We have to take action to navigate around them. So talk a little bit more about creating a strategy to navigate around all of these different financial storms. There's just so many.
So, for example, when you're working, you get raises, or at least I hope you do, right? Or you're going to leave your job, you're going to get another one. In retirement, there's a big storm if you don't have an inflation-adjusted income plan. So when you build that plan, we want to make sure we build in those raises. Do we know exactly what inflation is going to look like? Absolutely not. But we can be very proactive and plan for the worst and hope for the best. Very important to do that. Retiring on a fixed income without inflation's a huge storm. Market risk. What's the market going to do next week, Jen? It was great, recently. What's it going to do next week, next month, next year? Hard to say. That's right. But here's what you can control. The storm you can control is understand how much risk you're actually taking, and then figure out for your personal circumstances, your situation, how much risk you should be taking. Okay, let's lay it out crystal clear. When it comes to taxes, you're a sitting duck if all you know is what you're going to pay on April 15th of this tax year. If you don't know your future tax liability, I'll almost guarantee you're leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table. So let's understand your future tax liability. Let me lay it out for you, show you what it's going to cost you in taxes throughout your lifetime, and then see if perhaps we can back into that and reduce and eliminate eliminate your taxes. And I bet you there's a good opportunity there. Healthcare crisis. I hope you never have a healthcare crisis, but how can we build a plan so that $1 turns into $2 if you need it for custodial care? There's a lot of opportunity to do that, but you need to understand what that liability would do to you and then what your options are and pick the best option for that. And estate planning, what's important to you? Who do you want to protect? Where do you want your money to go? And put in place the right documentation to evaluate that. That's how we help people, make sure that we're proactive and not reactive if there's a storm. But we've got to start with what do you want and where are you now, and let you see that crystal clear, and then back into it and look for the best, most appropriate vehicles for that. People start all the time with, I've got great investments, I'm all set. I've saved that great amount, I'm all set. Well, if you don't know how to turn it into an income stream, and if you don't have a tax strategy, and you have too much risk, or you don't have a strategy for healthcare, in a flash, that money can go away. So how do I help people navigate that? By helping them focus on the things that they should and can control, and putting a plan in place to make sure that they're proactive, not reactive. Starts with our Retire Fit analysis. Need to pick up the phone and call us at 623-792-5496.
And as we talk about all these different issues, we have to be aware of what is changing, what is coming in terms of changing. Market Watch says today's federal income tax rates, they could be the lowest you will see for the rest of your life, thanks to the current tax laws we have in place with the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. But that's going to change with the bills working their way through Congress as we speak. And at this point, it's not a matter of if, but when taxes will go up. And higher taxes could leave you with a fraction of the money you were counting on for your retirement.
That's right. And you do not want to assume that you won't be impacted by Democrats' proposed tax increases because you're not a big corporation or you're not wealthy enough. I bet just about everyone listening has a few areas where they can become a little more tax efficient with their retirement money. Look, I want to help you understand the potential impact taxes can have on your retirement savings. I want you to learn about the ways to reduce or possibly eliminate taxes in retirement. And then I want to help you create an income strategy so your retirement income lasts as long as you need it to last. So whether you saved $250,000 or a lot more, this is an opportunity for you to uncover possible tax liabilities that are just lurking in your account. Pick up the phone and call us 623-792-5496.
There is a short window of opportunity to take action to keep taxes from taking too much of a bite out of your savings. It could mean tens of thousands of dollars back in your pocket. 623-792-5496. This is Retire Financially Fit with Phyllis. We'll be back.
Time for today's trivia question. How much of an increase will Social Security benefits be in 2022? Is it A, 2.8% or B, 5.9%? The answer coming up in 60 seconds.
If you owed almost $28 trillion and you didn't have the money to pay it off, what would you need to do? Make a lot more money, right? Well, now America's debt is more than $28 trillion, and taxes are at historically low levels. It doesn't take a genius to realize taxes will probably go up. Now, think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now, when rates are low, or later, when rates are much higher? Whether you should pay taxes now or in retirement depends on a lot of things. Phillis, Sachs Pilvinus, and the team at PSP & Associates know what to look for. Call 623-792-5496 to set up a visit with Phillis, Sachs Pilvinus, and the team at PSP & Associates. That's 623-792-5496. When taxes go up, will you be ready? Call now, 623-792-5496. Firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Investment advisory services are offered through PSP Financial Services, LLC, an Arizona registered investment advisor.
How much of an increase will Social Security benefits be in 2022? Is it A, 2.8%, or B, 5.9%? The answer is B, 5.9% in 2022. To see how that affects your finances, contact PSP and Associates today at 623-792-5496. That's 623-792-5496.
Thanks for joining us today on Retire Financially Fit with Phyllis. I am Jen Rezac alongside Phyllis Sachs-Pilvinus. She is founder and president of PSP and Associates. She is author of the book, Creating Calm Amidst the Storm. Today we've been talking about what's going on with federal spending, and of course, taxes is the other side of that. When we talk about federal spending, we have to talk about where the revenue's coming from. And Market Watch says today's federal income tax rates might be the lowest you'll see for the rest of your life because of the current tax laws we have in place, the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That is likely to change with the bills working their way through Congress as we speak. So, Phyllis, at this point, it is not a matter of if, but when taxes will actually go up.
That's exactly right. That's why this voice is so hoarse, because I want to scream it from the rooftops, and I do every chance I get. Taxes are on sale, and now is the time to be proactive, not reactive. And even if taxes were to go up tomorrow, there are still tax-saving opportunities, and that is the redheaded stepchild. Mm-hmm. Most people overlook that opportunity.
Absolutely. And I want to just bring something in here as we talk a little bit about this spending agenda. I know Democrats in Congress, they're trying to button this up, everything that President Biden has proposed with the, is it the Build Back Better? I think that's right. Build Back it's better. 3 B's, and I knew I was going to say one of them wrong.
It's close, right?
It was close enough.
Yep.
So the Tax Foundation, which is an independent tax policy group, they did an analysis of the revenue provisions that are being talked about in Congress right now. And they had a couple of things that they wanted to point out here that I want to get your take on. They said, first of all, keep in mind when we talk about the corporate tax rate, and that sounds like, oh, great, we're just taxing big business. That is not paid by just corporate shareholders because it's going to reduce their investment and productivity growth. It's going to lead to lower wages across the board. That's what they found there. And then when you talk about raising individual income taxes for high income earners, that also comes at a cost because then it's reducing their incentives to work and save and invest. And then it will ultimately reduce employment opportunities throughout the economy. So, Phil, let's talk a little bit about when we look at the types of taxes that are being proposed. A lot of times we think, phew, that's not me. I'm not big business. But talk a little bit about that ripple effect that happens here.
Oh, it all trickles down to middle America. And if you think otherwise, you're really in for a surprise. I'll give you a big example. One of my clients owns a great business. And, he said, yeah, I've been debating retiring. I love what I do. But boy, with all these tax changes, now is the time I am getting out. Yeah. And you better believe that this particular person, he cares about every employee. And when he sells his company, the next employer, they're going to make more financial decisions as he's making to sell his company right now before things get bad. So it all trickles down. It trickles down to that average person. They talk about just the high tax earner, but don't forget, in 2026, the rates go back to where they were in 2017. That's how the bill was written. So right. Even if it doesn't affect you before that, it's going to affect you. When you wake up in January of 2026, your tax rates will go back to where they were in 2017, which were higher than they are today, considerably.
Yeah, it's just something that we need to be thinking about, we need to be aware of. And it all plays together, Phyllis, when we talk about things like what's happening with spending, then we have to know about what's coming in on the revenue side or what's being talked about for the revenue side when we're talking about the federal government, because that's us. We actually, we have a mailbag question here that maybe we should go ahead and get into that relates to this. It's from Kim in Surprise, who's seen a lot of headlines about the federal debt ceiling and this big spending bill. Not really sure what it means for her. So she says, how do I figure out if this will impact me and what can I do about it? And that's the thing, Phyllis. You see all these headlines and all these things that are being fought about on the other side of the country, and you don't always know, how does this actually impact me and my family, and what we spend money on and what matters to us?
I mean, not to be Debbie Downer, but every time we spend more money, your taxes are going to go up somehow, or inflation's going to come into play, or you're going to go to the gas pump and that's going to be higher. Debbie, Kim, I'm sorry, Kim.
Well, Debbie Downer,
Debbie Downer, there you go. Okay, yep, Debbie Downer. I didn't call you that, Kim. I called myself that for the record. But Kim, you're right to be concerned. But really, how it affects you is not the question. To try to pinpoint that and focus on that. The thing is if it does affect me, what can I do about it? And what you can do about it is if you're close to retirement, or if you're in retirement, you want to be proactive, not reactive. You want to make sure that you have an inflation-adjusted income plan, that when it comes to taking your Social Security, that you squeeze out every dollar and cents, not just from looking at your benefits in a vacuum, but when you look at that in the context of your overall plan. So you want an inflation-adjusted income plan. You want to make sure that you don't have more risk than you can control, because we can't control what the market's going to do. You want to make sure, and this is a big one, that you understand not just your taxes as they're going to be prepared this year, but what's your overall lifetime, and when you pass, the liability on those tax dollars, and then look for different ways to take money out of your accounts in retirement to reduce or eliminate these taxes. Most people don't realize that, especially when you retire for the first time probably in your life, especially if we get you before you start taking your required minimum distributions, you get to choose where you take your money from and the tax implication of that. You've got a lot of flexibility. When you're working, your paycheck is going to be taxed, period. You're going to have federal tax, state tax, Medicare tax. But in retirement, when you're taking on investment dollars and Social Security, where you take it from and how, you have a lot of control over that. So that's extremely important. And just creating leverage on your money so that you have more money for healthcare costs. All of these things are going to be a huge putting that plan together will give you a lot of protection. So, you know what? If for whatever reason we're wrong, Jen and I, how could we ever be wrong? And taxes don't go up for you? Well, you're better off anyway. And if they do go up, you're proactive, not reactive. And, that's why we always want you to have a plan. Plans for the worst, hope for the best. And that's what our planning's all about.
That's right. And so let me give the number 623-792-5496 when we talk about putting together a plan in place that can help you plan for the worst but hope for the best. Again, that's 623-792-5496. And Phyllis, you call your plan the Retire Fit Analysis. And we have to start with that analysis, because you think about any time you're trying to get anywhere, the first thing you have to do when you're looking at the map is locate your current position, and then you can start figuring out which roads to get on and how you want to get to where you're going. But you have to start by knowing where you are right now. And Phyllis, that's really what your analysis is all about. Just talk a little bit about, for somebody who is concerned about their future, concerned about some of these things that could be changing with taxes, talk about what goes into an analysis to help them figure out just where they are before we start talking about solutions.
Yeah, that's so well said. So many people want the solutions before they understand where they're at. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, how can you fix something if you don't know it's broken?
Right.
How can you get somewhere if you don't know where you want to get? So yeah, you have to understand, what does your retirement look like? What are you going to spend? What are you going to spend? And then you've got to understand how much income comes in reliably. We call it our security income score. How much is going to come in to replace your paycheck reliably, and what's the gap That's huge. And you know, when nobody's going to have a healthcare crisis, none of us are going to need custodial care, right? That's kind of a joke,
That's what we
right?
all think, yeah. But
exactly.
Right. That number again is 623-792-5496. You've been listening to Retire Financially Fit with Phyllis. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We hope you'll tune in again next week for more insights from Phyllis. In the meantime, have a great week. We'll talk to you next time. We'll see you then.
Investment advisory services are offered through PSP Financial Services, LLC, an Arizona registered investment advisor. PSP Financial Services is an independent financial services firm that helps people create retirement strategies using a variety of insurance and investment products. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to safety, security, or guaranteed lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investment products. Insurance and annuity product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. PSP Financial Services, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. You should talk to a qualified professional before making any decisions about your personal situation. We are not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.